The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Sean Smoke, Kevin Price, and Robbie Ross. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with eXp Realty.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Hey folks, welcome back to another edition of the Smoke Report. As always, my name is Evan Smoke, and here are your scores from October 27th, 2023. We're going to start with the game of the week, and guys, I'm once again right. We are now 3-0 in the week 3 of my picks. Clinched a region title in their last game of the regular season. They're going to be off this final upcoming week. They defeated Charlton County at home in Homerville by a score of 31-6. I called clinch by double digits. I didn't think it was going to be that close. Panthers handle business, and they get to rest up before a playoff berth in 2 weeks from last Friday. We're going to go down to Region 3 2A now, as Appleton County went on the road this past Friday night and defeated the Tatnall County Warriors 31-0. Pirates are still tied for first in their region. You go over to Bearville and Blackshear and Pierce. They're still tied after a big victory last Friday night. They defeated Vidalia, who was also tied at 1 point for the lead, at home in Blackshear. Toombs County also won past Friday night. All three are tied going into the last week of the regular season. And we're looking for a possible, they're all favorites this Friday, could be a possible three-way tie for the region title in Region 3 AA. Bacon County loses to Brooks 35-7 on the road in Quitman. Bradwell, surprising loss it feels like to some people in the 5A world, lost to Jenkins in Savannah on Saturday. Not a Friday night game, but a Saturday afternoon matchup, 41-33. Pirates keep their region title hopes alive up in 6A as Brunswick defeats Evans 35-7 between the bricks in Glenn County Stadium. The other Evans school, Lakeside, went on the road to Effingham, but Effingham wins 36-31. The Effingham County Rebels and the Brunswick Pirates will meet Friday night for a possible region championship. Effingham wins, they'll be undefeated in the region and they'll claim a title. However, if Brunswick wins and Glenn also handles business, there will be another three-way tie for that region title over in 6A. Frederica, on the Friday night of St. Simon's Island, big Georgia-Florida weekend over there in the island. I was present. They get a win, 54-49 over Pinewood Christian Academy. The Phoenix get a huge win at home. Go back up to Savannah. New Hampstead defeats Burke County 34-28, creating a three-way tie for second place in that region in 4A. Benedictine has already clinched it, but Burke, New Hampstead, and Wayne all now have a chance to finish second, third, or fourth as we go into the last Friday of the regular season. Liberty County, bouncing back after that loss last week at home versus Long County, they defeat Beach 43-21 on the road. Speaking of Long County, they kind of had a regression this past week. Calvary Day beats them 34-0 at home in Ludowici. Portal 27-0 over McIntosh County Academy in Darien. McIntosh County Academy, as it sits right now, would be potentially playing Clinch County in that first round of the playoffs, once again 2 weeks from last Friday. Grovetown at South Effingham, another smaller, maybe some playoff positioning, jockeying underneath those top three under Effingham, Glen, and Brunswick. South Effingham handles business over Grovetown at home in Guyton, 40-14 in favor of the Mustangs. You look over, Coffee County, 56-7. They had Greenbrier at home, but 56-7 in favor of the Trojans. Now, Ware County, all they had to do Friday night was to win, and the region title would be played in Waycross this Friday night. They do just that. They handled the Statesboro Blue Devils, blank them actually, 50-0 at home in the Swamp. And now this Friday night, the game of the week that I'll be picking later in the show, Coffee County, undefeated on the year, 9-0, will play the Ware County Gators, 7-2. The two losses are out of region for the region title at home. Ware County will play at home at Friday night in Memorial Stadium. Speaking of that 4A region with New Hampstead that them and Burke are tied, the reason they are is because Wayne handled business last Friday night. The Yellow Jackets take care of it in JC Stadium over in Jessup, and they defeat the Southeast Bullock 35-10. Hey, it's been a great week, folks. I'll see you all a little bit later in the show. Back to you, Sean.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by head writer and podcast host Kevin Price. Kevin, how you doing today?
Good, Sean. Of course, the calendar's flipped to November, and it's the last week of the high school football season. We knew all along once we got to November that would be the case. The exciting thing is the playoffs are right around the corner, and it's basically a whole nother season, a half of a regular season, if you want to look at it like that. And Georgia's certainly one of the best states for high school football, so a lot of exciting games. And I guess, we're kind of really in playoff mode right now because for some teams it's win and you're in. Some teams are basically already over and playing out the string, but some teams know they're going to the playoffs. They just don't know where they're going to fall, whether they're going to be a region champion, a 2 seed, 3 seed, or maybe even a 4 seed. So all that's going to shake out this week. It's intriguing here in Southeast Georgia, all over the state as well. So we'll try to dig in and do the best we can with some of these tiebreakers and whatnot. I know you've got a name for the week, and it's very appropriate.
Exactly, Kevin. And we're going to call this tiebreaker week because it seems like every region is coming down to tiebreakers. And as we go through, our list of games coming up for the third, you'll see what we're talking about. But, Kevin, we're going to start off with our game of the week, probably the biggest game in the state of Georgia, definitely the biggest game in South Georgia here in the 912, and that's going to be the Coffee County Trojans going to be coming over to face the Ware County Gators in Memorial Stadium. This is for region supremacy. This basically is a region championship game. Both of these teams have been rolling through this region. We kind of knew, Kevin, when the schedules came out, that this was going to be the game. Everybody had it circled. We all felt like this was going to be for the region title, and that's exactly what's played out. Both these teams come in, Kevin. Offense is playing great, scoring in the 50s every week. Defense is playing great, holding teams under single digits throughout region play. So this is going to be a good one. Where finally gets Coffee at home. It seems like it's been forever since they played Coffee at home because they've been over there for the last couple of years with the schedules changing and everything. But this game is going to be at Memorial Stadium, and we'll see which one of them can get it done because somebody's going in as a 1 and somebody's going in as a 2.
Yeah, that much we know. Somebody has to win the ball game because I think I heard on Richmond Hill's podcast with Coach Lazat and that Robbie does, we made some kind of comment that, we don't so much worry about the W's and the L's. We worry about the journeys. And, of course, we don't have ties anymore in the state of Georgia. So, yeah, somebody's got to come out of there a winner Friday night, certainly because playoff seeding involved too. Somebody's got to be the 1 seed. Somebody's got to be the 2 seed. And it's as simple as that for these two teams. I mean, they don't have to worry about anybody else but this ball game. But Sean, about this rivalry. You've been around it a long time. I think it's probably like a lot of other rivalries. There's some hate between fan bases. They can't stand the other school for this or that, and sometimes it goes beyond the football field. But I think largely for the coaches involved and the players involved, there's a bit of mutual respect there. They both respect the other guy and the job they do. And when they get here, it's, just man against man, competitor against competitor, and let's see who comes out on top. But let me tell you how good these programs have been, Sean. I know but as I was kind of doing a little research, the past rankings came up when these two teams met. And this is going to be the second year in a row that these two teams meet as two top 5 teams, with one of them being ranked number 1 in the state. Of course, this year is Coffee. Last year it was Ware County. The third time in 5 years that both of these teams have met when they're both ranked in the top 5, which is impressive. And then you have to go all the way back to 2017 to find a year where one of the teams was not ranked coming into this matchup. So obviously these two teams not only getting it done at the region level and here in Southeast Georgia as two of our premier programs, they're two of the better teams, bar none, in the state. And, of course, Coffee's had some deep playoff runs. Obviously, Ware County has too, and finally got it done last year. So two great programs going out of here. Obviously, Ware's lost a couple of this year. They're ranked number 5, 7-2 overall. Where, Coffee 9-0, ranked number 1 in the state for the first time. And you're right, Sean, what gives? I mean, both of these teams are good defensively. When you look at Coffee, they've been lights out, only 49 points allowed all year. Both of these teams score over 34, 35 points a ball game. I would expect that maybe this game gets somewhere in the 20s. I mean, I think both offenses are that good and can find some success against the other guy, but at the same time, these defenses can control the ball game, so you're not just going to go out and run wild against either one of them. So it's going to be a little bit of a chess match, field position. I think turnovers come into play, all those kinds of things. But obviously, Fred Brown's a great running back for Coffee. Ware's going to have their hands full with him, but Ware has weapons all over the place, and it's just going to be dog eat dog, man against man, and two really great football teams going at it Friday night.
Yeah, I mean it's and all the hype has already started, Kevin. I mean it's everywhere. I mean everybody's talking about this game and can that high-powered offensive Ware score on that tough defense and can the defensive the Gators stop Fred Brown, because that's it. As a matter of fact, if you go back and listen to Coach's podcast, he says, listen, if we wake up Saturday morning and Fred Brown's went for 185, 200 yards, then Coffee County is probably your region champ, so they've got to find a way to limit him. You're not going to stop him. You're not going to stop a Fred Brown. He's going to get his yardage, but what you can't do is you can't let him run wild and have that 175, 200-yard night. So Gators going to have their hands full. Coffee's going to have their hands full stopping the not just one, not just two, not just three, not just four, all the receivers of Ware County, because I think they bring students out of the stands to throw the ball to, Kevin. I mean, it's just everybody every week. There's 9 guys on the catch list, so they'll throw it to anyone and everybody. So like I said, it's going to be a really, really good football game. It's going to be, coaches going to be involved, so we'll see who can get it done. But I'm excited for Friday night.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I don't know. We talk about the fire marshal having to be around in basketball gyms sometimes to lock the doors, and he might have to be around. I don't know what his cutting off point to be Friday night, but it might get close. I don't know how many people they can actually jam in there to Ware County Stadium and still be, legal, if you will. But obviously, the school resource officers and the county and city police, whatever, going to have their hands full with crowd control, I think, Friday night.
Exactly. Yeah. The term standing room only is probably going to come into play
sure.
on Friday night there at Memorial Stadium. But Kevin, we'll move on from that one. Appleton's got to go to Brantley. We're going to talk a little bit more about this region. We feel like it's going to come down to a hat draw. We feel confident that everybody's going to win by 13 points or more. But that's exactly what Appleton's got to do. They've got to beat the Brantley County Herons by 13 points or more to stay in that 3-way tie. We feel like that they can do that, but we'll get into more details when we get into the Pierce game coming up. Irwin's going to go over to Bacon. Kevin, from what I see here, Bacon County, win, lose, or draw on Friday night against Irvin, is still going to make the playoffs because they're in a 4-team region. I went back and looked at the brackets, and oh, by the way, Team 4 from this region does get a playoff spot. So regardless, Bacon is going to get a shot to play in the playoffs here. We'll see how they can get it done, but they do get in according to the brackets. I'm not sure if that goes, because I know in the past, like when Region 1 7A only had 4 teams, they only allowed 3 teams in. So, but this one, according to the brackets, all 4 of these teams are going to play. So we'll see what happens. Greenbrier is going to be at Bradwell. Greenbrier's already locked up the 3 seed, Kevin. They can't do any worse regardless of what happens in this game. I fully expect Bradwell will win this game, but they're already going to go in as a 3 seed in that Region 2 5A behind Coffee and Ware. And then the next game we're going to talk about is Brunswick at Effingham. And this is a kind of a weird situation because what Brunswick's doing is playing for a 3-way tie if they can beat Effingham, but there's so many factors that go into it, Kevin, and I'll let you get into the details. But right now, if Brunswick does have a shot to force a 3-way tie between them, Effingham and Glenn, but again, there's points, scored and all kind of scenarios that's got to happen. But kind of give us the layman's breakdown of what Brunswick's got to do Friday night if they want to create that 3-way tie.
Yeah, so, I guess let's just give people the backdrop on these things. They might say, well, why does one region do it this way? And then you're talking about this other region and the tiebreakers seem different. Well, that is the case. The state allows all the regions to put their, tiebreaker rules into their own bylaws. And first of all, they better be written down or it's going to be real nasty and real confusing. And there's been a couple of stories we've heard where maybe region secretaries and all actually forgot to go in and amend the bylaws to a region, and then they're still stuck with what maybe they had the last couple of years, or at that point they have to default to what the GHSA does recommend. The High School Association will recommend a tiebreaker rule for you, but you have the liberty, much like government here in the United States, state rules are different in every state. So every region can set their own tiebreakers. Largely, they're the same. First of all, most of the time it's head-to-head matchups when, it's me versus Sean, who won the game, just like Ware versus Coffee. If you have more than 2 teams involved, so in this case, you would potentially have 3 between Effingham, Brunswick, and Glenn. You try to do it head-to-head, but in this case, they've all beaten each other. So the head-to-head goes out the window. Then that's where it gets tricky. And the caveat to this one is they're doing points allowed between the teams tied in the games they were involved in. But the caveat is there is a cap to it. The points allowed are capped at 25. So to give people an example of what I mean, when Glenn lost 49-3 to Effingham, they're only going to be having 25 points against them, in other words, not all 49. Right. So now that we're here at this point, Effingham sitting on top of the region with no losses. Brunswick and Glenn both have 1. If Effingham wins, simply put, they're the region champion. If Brunswick wins the ball game, then we could have a possibility of a three-way tie between Effingham, Brunswick, and Glenn, assuming that Glenn also wins their season finale against Lakeside Evans. And that's probably the most, likely scenario in terms of if Brunswick wins, Glenn's probably going to win too. And so we could have this, three-way tie. The deal for Brunswick then to be the number one seed is they've got to win by, 19 points, because let's look at that Glenn game. Effingham only gave up 3 points to Glenn. We know that. And Brunswick gave up 22 in a 22-15 loss. So when you look at Effingham and Brunswick in the games that they've played against the other team involved here right now, Effingham has a 19-point cushion. The interesting thing is Brunswick can't go up there and win by, say 20 to win the tiebreaker, 47-27, 31-10, something like that, because the only thing that's going to count against Effingham is 25 points. So Brunswick has to win the ball game by 19 while doing it, knowing that they've got to do it in that 0 to 25 barrier. So basically, simply put, if Effingham scores a touchdown in this ball game, that tiebreaker goes out the window. So really, Brunswick could still win the ball game by the 19, 20 points they need to, 50-30. But it wouldn't matter because it's capped at the 25. So that makes it a little harder for Brunswick to win by that 19-point margin, because it's going to be based largely on whether or not they give up a touchdown or less to Effingham, which is going to be hard to do on their home field. I don't have any doubts that Brunswick can go up there and win the ball game, but when you're talking about doing it in the strict, frame that they have to do it in for the tiebreaker, that's going to be ultra tough. The best chance for Brunswick is that they win and Glenn also loses, and then they're one with the tiebreaker head-to-head over Effingham, and then Effingham falls to 2 and Glenn falls to 3. But when you look at this ball game, Sean, I mean, Effingham's always a tough place to play. They got an advantage built in there, so many different ways, but they're a hard team to figure. I mean, they started off so slow. And then, they caught fire. They won all their region games, but they eked one out, last week against a Lakeside Evans team. I think Grovetown gave them some fits before, they won that ball game. And Grovetown sitting on the bottom of the region with no region wins, I think. So Effingham's found a way to get it done. Obviously, Nate Hayes, a good running back. They have a good quarterback. They have 2 good running backs, and they're decent on defense, but their play's been largely inconsistent. But Brunswick has shot themselves in the foot, even in some of the games they won with penalties and things of that nature. If they go up there and get down, getting 1st and 15s and things of that nature because of a false start on first down, that's going to be all the more difficult on the road at Effingham. But I think on paper, Brunswick has the more talented team from top to bottom, but certainly Effingham has a lot going for them on Friday night, and they found a way to win. That's what you got to give them credit for.
And if you think about this, I know everybody in Brunswick likes to fish. This is almost this playoff thing, Kevin, is almost like slot fishing. You got to be within that the slot. Can't be over this, can't be under that. So that's kind of how this playoff deal is. But like I said, Brunswick got to go up there and basically shut Effingham out. It's going to be a tough order, but we'll see how that one shakes out. The next game, Kevin, we're going to talk about is Camden at Lowndes. Lowndes kind of shot themselves in the foot this past weekend, losing to Richmond Hill, kind of put themselves, backs up against the wall. So Camden now, got to go over to Lowndes, which we all know the Concrete Palace is a tough place to play over there at Martin Stadium. But Camden, if they can go on the road and get it done, then there's going to be no tiebreakers that comes into play. But if Camden goes over there, stumps their toe, Lowndes finds a way to win, then you're going to have 3 teams, Kevin, for 2 spots in that region. Everybody basically will have 3 losses and 1 win, and then it becomes that jumbled up mess and goes to the tiebreaker that we're not 100% sure how it shakes out.
Yeah, and this one they're saying, points allowed, but one thing I heard kind of sound like it might be point differential, and that's different. Right. So here's the bottom line. If Camden wins, they're in. They would have 2 wins. Right. They would be the 3 seed. Richmond Hill has that 1 win over Lowndes, so they would be the 4 seed because Camden did beat them. That's simple. But like you say, if Camden goes up there and loses, or over there and loses to Lowndes, then all of a sudden you got 3 teams tied between Camden, Lowndes, and Richmond Hill, assuming that Richmond Hill does not go shock the world and beat Colquitt County over in Moultrie. If they do that, they're in for sure. As a higher than number 4 seed. So, again, we'll have to see how that all shakes out if that comes to pass. But I would think that Camden obviously has a good shot at winning this ball game. I mean, Lowndes can score points, but they give up a lot as well. And they've been in, pretty much all their region games. They lost to Colquitt like everybody else has, but they were, playing with Valdosta for the longest time, and then just let them run away from them. Richmond Hill kind of had their way with them the other night and really put forth a dominating performance. When this one on paper it's Lowndes against Camden, but also don't forget Lowndes is now coached by Adam Carter, a former assistant coach down there in Camden under Jeff Herron. So a lot of what he does is patterned after what Herron did in his heyday with the Wildcats. And Adam Carter, has a lot of respect for Coach Herron. So he knows that wing T offense as good as anybody. I know Camden tries to guard against that. Grayson beat Camden pretty good last year in the playoffs. So we'll see, how they maybe reverse that trend in terms of maybe what he knew and what he didn't know about what they were going to do. But, I think Camden probably has the better team on paper, but they've got to go over to Lowndes. That's a tough place to play. And, Camden traveled well a couple of weeks ago, lost a tough one to Valdosta. I think that they can go over there with that same effort and same execution on both sides of the ball. I think they should be fine.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, Camden wins, it's all settled. But if they don't, then we'll just have to see how everything shakes out. But we're going to move on. We got Lanier at Charlton County. Basically, Kevin, this is a play-in game for 2 and 3 in this region. There's 2 spots, 2 spots left. So if Charlton wins, Charlton's sitting at 2 right now, but if they lose, they'll fall down to 3. If they win, they can stay there at 2 in that region. Clinch is they're open this week. Clinch is already clinched number 1, so they're going to go in as a number 1, but that's going to be an important game. Then you got Frederica that's going to go over to St. Andrews. Frederica coming off that big win last week, puts himself in a position, but now we get into, when you get into GIA, you get into these rankings, and there's no telling how that playoff scenario is going to fall out. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see on that one. And the last game we're going to talk about here, Kevin, which we've already kind of broke it down, is Lakeside Evans has got to go to Glenn. Glenn's sitting there hoping, for that 3-way tie scenario. But right now, I think really the best Glenn can hope for in this scenario is probably going to be, a 2 seed. But we'll see if they can get it done against Lakeside Evans on Friday night.
Yeah, basically if Glenn wins, they're going to be in decent shape, you might think, for that number 2 seed, because again, Brunswick not only has to win, they have to do it in that short little segment there in that 25-point barrier and win by 19. So and then it goes back, if Effingham wins the tiebreaker, it goes back to head-to-head between Glenn and Brunswick, and Glenn would have beaten Brunswick, so they would be the 2 seed. Brunswick then would fall all the way to the 3 seed and would be guaranteed to having to go on the road for the first round, and then, of course, in the second round as well. If Glenn does get that 2 seed, we know they're at home in the first round against the 3 seed from another region in the first round, and then they would have to go on the road most likely to play a 1 seed from Region 1, which is going to be Thomas County Central. So all that, we'll get to later on, but that would certainly be a tough road to hoe there for Glenn in terms of the round 2 matchup. But, Glenn's played well, kind of with a makeshift offense, Sean. They lost Greg Peacock early. They had Willie Butler as his backup. They've never really been able to have those guys on the same field or on the field at the same time. But Willie Butler's done a heck of a job of coming in and taking over and carrying that rock for Glenn and that run-heavy offense. Of course, after the Brunswick game, when Jay Nellis came in and really led Glenn to victory in that ball game with a great second half and overtime, he's taken over at quarterback. He gives them that run dimension, and certainly I think he's the quarterback of the future. Barring something that might change, and they'll work with him on the passing game even more. But he's a dual threat guy potentially, but certainly they can do a lot of things in the run game with him. And Glenn's defense, is pretty tough across the board. They've had a couple of hiccups along the way, but they played, pretty well here in the last couple of games. I think Lakeside, gives Glenn the same challenges that maybe a South Effingham did or Lakeside Evans did. I mean, you got to play sound fundamental defense against them. They got some guys that can maybe hit the home run if you let them, but I would think that Glenn's recipe for success coming down the stretch is going to be one that will get them a victory again on Friday night. Now, this Lakeside team, like I said, Sean, they've lost some close ball games. That's the one thing they can hang their hat on, and maybe they're looking to play spoiler here, if you will, knowing that this is going to be it for them. But they lost by 1 point to Evans. They lost, tough the other night to Effingham. I think they lost close to South Effingham as well. So they've been in a lot of their region ball games and been competitive. And I'm sure they would like to get over the hump in at least one more if they can. But, Glenn, should win this one as long as they show up and stop the run and run the ball well themselves.
Like you said, Kevin, this is Lakeside's playoff game here. They know they're done after Friday night, so you would expect to get their best shot. But hey, let's take a quick break, Kevin. We'll come right back here and finish up all the games for 11-3. But you're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal!
Welcome back, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke. He's Kevin Price, and we're going to finish up the games coming up for 11-3 here in the 912. But, Kevin, we're going to start off with Sumter County at Jeff Davis, and this is an interesting game, Kevin, because Jeff Davis on the outside looking in right now, but they can force a three-way tie to find themselves, in some type of scenario where they get into the playoffs. First of all, what they have to do is they have to beat Sumter County that they're playing Friday night. Second of all, they have to have Worth fall to Cook, which Cook's number one in that region, which very well could happen. If they do that, basically what they're going to do is force a three-way tie between Sumter County, Worth County, and Jeff Davis. All with the same scenario that we talked about at the beginning of the show. Tiebreaker week, three-way tiebreaker. I'm not sure what that is, but there is an outside shot that they go into the playoffs right now. We know Cook's sitting at 1. We know Fitzgerald's sitting at 2. But that 3 and 4 spot are all open. So we'll see if Jeff Davis can find a way to get it done on Friday night and force that three-way tie and maybe find their way into the playoffs. Next game up is Savannah Christian at Liberty. Liberty Panthers season will be over Friday night. There's no scenario that gets them into the playoffs. So they're done. Johnson of Savannah is going to be playing Long County. Long County goes into the playoffs regardless of what happens in this game as a 4 seed. So they're ready for the make their playoff run. And then New Hampstead. New Hampstead sitting there in a three-way tie with Burke and Wayne. We'll get into that at the end of the show here when we start talking about Wayne County. But that big win last week, Kevin, over Burke, catapulted New Hampstead right into the mix there. So a big win for those guys to kind of throw that region into chaos. Basically, I think you called all these guys the cadet chasers last week because everybody's basically chasing Benedictine, and that's true. But now they're all chasing them in a three-way tie. And then the first game that we're going to talk about is Tatnall at Pierce. Pierce coming off that big win last week at Vidalia, kind of what we expected, Kevin. Vidalia was sitting there, in a four-way tie. Of course, they're kind of been eliminated, knocked down after that loss to Pierce. But you still got the Pierce the Appling and the Toombs County deal. All these guys are going to play Friday night. All these guys have to win by 13 points or more. If they do, Kevin, then we get to the proverbial hat draw. We talked about this on Coach Herron's podcast. That's got to happen sometime either late Friday night or early Saturday morning, because the deadline to GHSA is like 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. So they got to figure out how they're going to do that, where they're going to do that, if they're all going to meet, or if, Coach Jeff Cannon, who I think is kind of the head of that region right there, maybe he just does it on his own and tells people, or, live feeds it or something. I don't know exactly how they'll get it done, but it'll be something that'll have to happen pretty fast. If everybody holds serve, if everybody wins by 13 points, that hat draw is going to come into play.
Yeah, they could get together and do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do it over, some kind of, streaming service, and, maybe somebody is there with, Jeff Cannon to orchestrate it, to, make sure, that he has a witness to the situation, right, and to make sure they put the balls in the hat and everybody can see that there's nothing already in the hat. Here's what we're dropping in it, whatever. Right. I know Jeff Cannon will do it fair and square, so that's not a concern of mine. But and I would hope certainly not the other coaches as well. But they do have to get it done quick, because they can't hold the region they're going to be playing hostage. Those guys are going to be anxious to break down the film of who they're playing, and for some guys they're going to want to keep their normal routine, which starts with that on Saturday. Some guys wait till Sunday, so it's just all a matter of what the other guys in that region are playing want to do. But when you look at this ball game, this should be one that Pierce wins, and Pierce wins by 13 or more. Tatnall's been shut out 4 times, Sean. In their 9 games, they're 2-7, and they're only scoring a little over a touchdown, 7.22 points a ball game. And here's this mighty Pierce team that's scoring over 39 and giving up less than 8 points a game. So this should be a mismatch on paper. It's one that Pierce should definitely win by the 13 or more. So they'll hold serve in terms of doing their part to get to that hat draw if it comes to that.
And Pierce just got to get away from the turnover bug. Had 5 turnovers last week against Vidalia, but still won that game 35-7. So, like I said, that bodes well when you can turn the ball over 5 times and still win by 28 points. But next game up, Kevin, we talked a little bit briefly about this. This is the Richmond Hill at Colquitt County. We've heard through the grapevine that Richmond Hill feels like they're in regardless of what happens. I'm not sure how that scenario works out. We know they're in if they can go on the road over to the Hog Pen and get it done against the very, very talented Colquitt County Packers, who are basically ranked number 3 right now in 7A. That's going to be a tall order for the Richmond Hill Wildcats. But hey, Kevin, stranger things have happened in high school football here in Georgia for sure.
Well, there's no question that this, Colquitt team is always good, but certainly tough at home. They have a heck of a home field advantage there. Heard Coach Lazat kind of talking about that this week on his podcast. A lot like Effingham. They don't give you a lot of space on your sideline. They got some loudspeakers there. I think they added, 13 or 14 more loudspeakers, I think he said, to their PA system there. And so, they'll have a hard time communicating with each other and, hearing signals and all sorts of things like that. So there's certain built-in advantages they have to make it tough for you to go on the road. And like Coach said, you can allow that to be all the more tougher on you if you want to, or you can, control what you control and take matters into your own hands and try to block a lot of that stuff out. But the bottom line is the team they're playing between the lines is really good too, and certainly good on offense. Some great players at quarterback and in the skill spots. Nykar, one of their best receivers in school history there. So, he can dictate a game from the receiver position. They got the Thomas kid at tight end as well. And then they've got a heck of a trigger man there, running their offense too. So the name of the game for Colquitt is offense. If they're suspect at all, it might be a little bit defensively. And I know that, Richmond Hill has had some explosive games offensively. I saw them here probably with one of their better offensive games of the season in that border classic Glenn County Stadium against the Creekside team out of Florida. They looked really good offensively in that ball game, and I know they had a great game the other night against Lowndes. I think Coach Lazat said they had something like 25-26 pancake box in that ball game. So their offensive line really went out and dictated things in that game, controlled the line of scrimmage, and let their skill people do their thing. And of course, Nick Bliss had another outstanding game for them, running the football and catching the football. And he's an athlete that they, try to get matchups created for and get the ball in his hands. So Richmond Hill has a lot going for them in this ball game in terms of momentum. They got the big one out of the way with Lowndes. They had to have that, or their season would end right here in Moultrie. So really, they're playing with house money, Sean. They got a chance to go in there and pull the upset, and then if not, hey, you regroup and should be getting ready for the playoffs next week.
Congratulations on that big win over Lowndes last week to the Richmond Hill Wildcats. Next game up, Kevin, is Evans at South Effingham, which basically, Kevin, is a play-in game. Right now, both of them are 2 and 3 in region play. The winner's going to be the number 4 seed in that region, plain and simple. So can South Effingham and Coach Purvis's first year, can they get it done? Can the Mustangs, they get this game at home? We know Evans is tough. Evans was actually ahead of Glenn Academy at halftime in the game when they played Glenn. So they're a formidable foe, but we'll see which one of these guys can get it done on Friday night. Whoever does is going to go into the playoffs. Whoever loses, Kevin, they're going to be taking up uniforms on Monday.
That's right. And, both of these teams, like you said, this is the one given that the winner of this game in this Region 2 6A will be the 4 seed. Last year, that was Evans as the 4 seed. So this year they're right back in familiar territory playing for that 4 spot this week against South Effingham. I like the job that Coach Purvis is doing there at South Effingham. I've seen them twice. They've got a good plan. Offensively, they're running that wing tee, and it's the full wing tee, not some kind of hybrid wing tee where they just run, certain plays out of wing tee formations. They run the wing tee, and they can throw the ball a little bit too. Their quarterback has a strong arm. I'm just not sure how much firepower is really there. So they have to, try to control the ball, control the tempo of the ball game. And if they can do that in this game, I think that will be huge for them because Evans, when you look at their offense, they have Rayshawn King, a great running back who's averaging over, 100 yards a game. Brunswick did a great job on him last week. They gang tackled him, and that's what you really have to do. Brunswick had 5, 6, 7 guys around the football a lot of times. I know when I talked to Coach Rock, this week on his podcast, they were off last week, had played Evans, the week before Brunswick did. That was their last time out. And he really felt like, at least in his ball game, Evans did not give the ball to Rayshawn King enough. I mean, he said, right, if he played for me, we'd run him, let him rest a little bit, wake him back up, and run him and run him some more. But, so he's a workhorse back for them, or should be. So that's going to be the name of the game for South Effingham in terms of the Southeast Georgia team trying to get it done here, is not let Rayshawn King run wild and hopefully contain him and then score enough points to win the ball game.
Hey, and if South Effingham comes out on top here, Kevin, you got to look at maybe Coach Purvis for a Coach of the Year for that region, because that'll be a heck of a job that he's come in under a first-year coach. Took a team, I think, that won maybe 2 games last year and put them in the playoffs in his first year at the helm there. So a heck of a job there by Coach Purvis, regardless of what happens Friday night. But if he wins, if I'm casting a vote, he may get my vote for Coach of the Year there in that region. But
well, hey, you might get a phone call Friday morning from John Ford over there at Effingham.
Yeah, that's true. Might get one Friday night after if he comes away a winner there.
If he wins that game, certainly if he wins that game Friday night against Brunswick, he will have taken Effingham to a region title, and they were in position to do that each of the last couple of years, and Brunswick beat them by 3 points each of the last 2 years. So I got a feeling if John Ford wins that championship, he'll be the Coach of the Year. But I get you, drift, Sean. I feel you.
Yep. Good job by both. So next game up, Kevin, is Jenkins versus Statesboro. And Kevin, here's another play-in game. Basically, Jenkins at Statesboro. This is for the 4 seed in Region 2 5A. The winner is going to go into the playoffs, and again, the loser going to be taking up uniforms on Monday morning.
Yeah, I mean, as simple as that. And I haven't seen Jenkins. I've seen Statesboro. I know, they've got a plan on offense, but they're working through it. And, under a new coach and whatnot. So it would be huge for them if they could win the ball game and get at least maybe one more week of practice and get some playoff experience, in a big time game. That could be big for the future of that program going forward. But regardless of what happens, they'll analyze this season and figure out where they need to go from here. But I know Statesboro certainly had their growing pains, under a new coach and changing new systems, just things that you would expect. But this would be a huge win for them if they could punch their ticket to the playoffs for sure. And I think Jenkins is a solid ball club, so not going to be easy. But the good news is they do have it there in Statesboro, so that gives them at least a leg up, maybe going into the ball game.
Yeah, and the strength of these two teams, Kevin, is defense. This could be a 7-3 game, a 10-7 game. I mean, it could be a very, very low scoring football game. So we'll see which one of them can punch their ticket to the playoffs. Last up, we're going to talk about this region. Wayne County is open this week, so they're Hayes in the barn. There's not a whole lot that they can do. But basically, what you've got is a 3-way tie with everybody talking about Burke, New Hampstead, and Wayne, all with 2 losses in this region here. Burke does have to play. New Hampstead and Wayne are both sitting at the house. Burke does have to play Southeast Bullock. I feel confident that they will win that game. I have no idea what the tiebreaker is going to be. The good news is all 3 of these guys are going to make it. We're just not sure what seed they're going to be. This is, like I said, the region you dubbed the Cadet Chasers. We know Benedictine's going to be one. In some order, you're going to have New Hampstead, Burke, and Wayne in the playoffs. We're just not sure how that's going to shake out. The first thing that has to happen is Burke has to beat Southeast Bullock, or then there's no tiebreaker scenario. So we'll see if they can get it done. I believe that game is on the road for Burke. I believe they've got to go to Southeast Bullock to play that one. So we'll see if Coach Stevens can get that. Franklin Stevens can get that done. Like I said, New Hampstead, when they won that game last week against Burke, kind of threw this region into chaos. It was all kind of cut and dry up into that point, but we'll see how it all shakes out, and then what their tiebreaker is and how they fall 2 through 4.
Yeah, and regardless of how they fall, I mean, we've talked about it, previously, and the 2, 3, and 4 seeds, however they line up, they're going to be good behind, Benedictine. This has been a fun region to follow. I think that result was maybe a little bit surprising. New Hampstead over Burke, but certainly not shocking. New Hampstead gave Benedictine all they wanted a couple of weeks ago, gave them a better game really than probably Burke or Wayne County did. But all these teams have certain things they do well. Offensively, I think they're all pretty sound on defense. So behind Benedictine, the number 1 seed, 2, 3, and 4 are going to be tough seeds, going to be tough outs coming out of that region in the playoffs.
Exactly. How would you like to be that 1 seed, and one of these teams is going to show up at your house on next Friday night or 2 Friday nights 2 weeks from now as a 4 seed? I don't think you'd be too happy if you got to play the Wayne County Yellow Jackets and you're a number 1 seed. That's a pretty tough draw. So, and really, regardless of which one of those 3 teams winds up in 4, you're going to have to strap up your chin strap to win that one. But hey, get out and see a high school football game this Friday night. This is the final week of the regular season. Playoffs start next Friday night, 2 weeks from now. We'll have another breakdown show of who's playing where next week. But stick around. We've got more On Air with 912 Sports coming up right after these messages.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Hey folks, I'm once again back, and if you weren't here from earlier in the show, I am still undefeated on the season. I'm now 3-0 after the Clinch County Panthers won a region title and took care of business at home in Homerville last Friday night. After a 31-6 victory over the visiting Charlton County Indians, I took Clinch by double digits, and that's exactly what happened. But we have a real great matchup this Friday night, the Region 1 5A Region Championship match between the Coffee County Trojans and the Ware County Gators this Friday night in Memorial Stadium in Waycross. Coffee County enters this game 9-0, undefeated, 0 losses on the season. Ware County enters this game 7-2, 2 losses to out of classification opponents, with losses to the Bainbridge Bearcats and the Benedictine Cadets, both on the road in Savannah and Bainbridge respectively. I will be straight up honest with you folks. I am an alumnus of Ware County High School. However, I think this is a really great game for either side. I think this game could go either way. Coffee County and Ware County match up really well, I feel like. But at the end of the day, I am going to take the Gators by 3 at home. I think Memorial Stadium will be rocking. It's always one of the better games in the entire 912 area code, year in and year out. I will take the Gators by 3 at home this Friday night in Waycross. If you agree with my prediction, let me know in the email below. Hey, and if you disagree, I'd love to hear it too. But as always, and I'm just getting started, I am 3-0, folks, and I do want all the smoke. So with that being said, please let me know in the email. I'd love to come back here next week and tell you about how I'm still undefeated and 4-0, but I might have my first blemish. We don't know yet, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Back to you, Sean, and good luck to all the teams as they vie for a region title this Friday night in the last Friday of the regular season.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.